Maverick News, the antivirus program for your mind. And now, the Freedom Reporters.
Hello, Maverick family, and welcome back, Joseph M. Leonard. How are you, sir? I think we have audio from you now. Yeah, we definitely have audio. Can you hear me, Joseph? He may not be able to hear me. He's having some technical problems. We'll just put him into the back room while we get things started here today. And we have a lot to talk about because Ron DeSantis is sending National Guard reinforcements to the Texas border in Eagle Pass, while some actual transport trucks have now joined that convoy heading to that same location as part of the Take Back Our Border protest. Now, I think we may have a visit through the broadcast from Soup Mama, who is on location and live. She'll bring us up to date on what's happening and give us the lay of the land there. We have other stories to cover tonight as well. Canada's health minister with more information on the federal government's decision to delay the expansion of medical assistance in dying, doctor-assisted suicide in Canada. Also, we will dip in to this story about the province of Alberta in Canada as well, shifting gears, changing directions, going in the opposite direction of the federal government on the issue of gender identity, with the premier there answering questions on that subject a day after announcing a new policy initiative saying that parents will be notified if their kids going to school decide to change their pronouns or take other steps toward a change in their gender identity. So that, of course, is a hot button topic. Let's see if Joseph can hear us now. Can you hear me, sir? I can see you. I cannot hear you. I could hear you before when you signed back in. We had audio, but now we don't again. We can just read your lips through the broadcast. Okay, I'm going to take you out of the I have no idea. It's this is it. I could try and I can interpret, try to lip read. I think he says, I don't know what's wrong. My computer is not working properly. Something like that.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Something is wrong with my brand new headset, the USB, Bluetooth or whatever communication. It's just flashing red. I'm going to have to take it back to Best Buy, so sound quality won't be good. I'm just using standard computer right now.
What happened to your old one?
I always only used my laptop microphone, and I used earbuds to listen, to provide, to try to avoid any, feedback.
We're getting a lot of we can't do it this way because I can. It echoes my voice. You gotta go get your earbuds, or it's not going to work. Can we do that?
How about that? Is that better?
Yeah, I think that is better. Yes.
All right. I turned on echo cancellation. Okay.
There you go. Now we're in good shape. Right. So let's take a quick break.
Because your sound is coming through the PC and going right back into my microphone. Yeah,
perfect. Okay, now we're in good shape. So we'll be right back, folks, after this, now that we have all of our technical problems worked out.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Too late. Too late. Too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Well, thanks for joining us back on the program again, Joseph. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me. You could still hear me, right?
Oh, yes, we're okay now. And it actually sounds okay, so it's not bad at all. Now, quite a day today. This whole border issue continues to dominate headlines. And Ron DeSantis, Florida governor, sending the cavalry to Eagle Pass, Texas.
So is South Dakota Kristi Noem.
Yep. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Let's pick up a little bit of this news conference with Ron DeSantis making this announcement, explaining exactly what they're doing to back up the mighty state of Texas. Here we go.
Good morning. Well, we are here to join as Floridians to say that we need to stop this invasion at our southern border once and for all. And we're here. We've got a number of folks that are joining us today.
Okay,
we
let's
have a
actually
General
pull
John
out of this.
Haas, who's our
we had
Adjutant
Supermom in
General
the
of
back
the Florida
room there,
National
but
Guard. We have Executive Director of the Highway Safety Motor Vehicles Department, which oversees Highway Patrol, Dave Kerner. We have Director Mark Theme from the Florida State Guard. And then we have Sergeant Anthony Duboisevich, an FHP troop.
Okay, we're going to actually pull out of that for a moment, folks, because we have Soup Mama joining us live from, I don't know where, but she's out there somewhere in internet land and in the real US of A. Hello, welcome back.
Hi, guys. Good evening. It's a little hard to hear you because I am here currently at tonight's rally, which is going on right behind me. This is part of the convoy. That is live streaming on my channel, so if you want better visual of that, I'm trying to find a spot that's a little quieter. I was working on that so I can hear you guys a little bit better. So we're going to just kind of stick around, but I'll show you guys behind me there. And actually, even over here, they have this huge place set up. Lots of people here. The parking is like fields across the street. Full.
Yeah.
So,
and you have a lot of people. A lot more people have joined at this point. I see you have some actual transport trucks now too.
Yes. So there are a couple of them. I was also told today on one of the people in my chats was saying that there are actually 2 rigs already down at Eagle Pass. So there are a few trucks. But again, this wasn't really advertised as a trucker convoy per se. It did say bring your cars, trucks, RVs, campers. So, so it's not just strictly big rigs, but we're walking. This is a little bit better. I can hear you guys much better now.
Okay.
Well, it's better that it was just a general convoy for anyone with their plug-in hybrid. I doubt there are any of those, right?
Right, correct. That's how it was being advertised. Yeah.
Yeah. And so give us a sense of the size of this thing. And I know that a new news release was issued saying that there are actually going to be now similar protests in, I think, Arizona and California. I don't know where.
Okay. Yeah. So actually, that was the plan all along. If you guys, I don't know how many of you guys have actually checked out the website, but the convoy part that I came in on was just the East Coast. There were actually like 3 or 4 different convoys coming from different directions. to California, Arizona, and Texas. Now, the reason that the focus is so much on Texas, obviously, is because of what's going on with Greg Abbott and the state of Texas, and of course, the federal government here in the United States. So that's why a lot more of the focus, sorry, I don't want to blind you guys with the sun. That's why a lot more of the focus is, of course, here in Texas, especially near the Eagle Pass area with the park and everything. So that's why there's a lot more buzz about this particular piece of the convoy, because we were coming directly to Texas, where some of those other pieces of the convoy, like I said, are going to California and Arizona on the same day. So that was always part of the plan. Some of those people that traveled with us from the East Coast were actually moving on and driving on to Arizona. They had a driver's meeting at 10 o'clock today, but I took the time to sleep in and relax because 12 plus hours of driving for 4 days in a row just wiped me out. But it was a kind of a free day until now. This is the first thing that has been planned really all day long, is having this rally here. So.
Okay. Joseph, any questions?
No, have you seen any razor wire being cut?
Not yet, not yet. Right now we're in the Dripping Springs, Texas area. So we're having this rally here tonight, and to my understanding, tomorrow is when we're going to be heading down to Eagle Pass, in that area. Now, again, if you check out the website, one of the things that you'll see is that this convoy ends at a children's ranch in Texas, and it is for a prayer event, sort of. It's more of a religious type, praying for our country, showing the National Guard that we are standing in solidarity with them, but it is not actually at the border. So one of the things that I plan to do while I'm down here is take an extra day or two and actually go down to the border wall to cover what is going on over there.
Make sure you're armed if you do so.
Well, it is Texas, sir, and I do believe that comes standard issue in this state. So.
Yeah, well, you mentioned the child ranch. It reminds me of the old Don Imus Kids with Cancer ranch. Unfortunately, that I don't think Deidre, his widow, was able to keep going after Don died. That was a great thing. But this sounds like similar, a ranch, a charity ranch to help kids of some sort.
Yeah, it seems like all of the organizers for this convoy are involved with or have been involved with nonprofits, the church. They're all pastors, former or current. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic, especially compared to, everybody talking about the comparisons from 2 years ago to now. What's the difference? And this is different on so many fundamental levels, is what I'm finding out. For example, these guys here have never really led a convoy before or anything like that, according to them. Now, the one guy did participate in the convoy in DC. The one that owns, one of the organizers, the one that owns the big bus, I guess, he had traveled in with American Freedom Convoy, I do believe. I'm not 100% sure of the affiliation there, but he had been down in DC. So I guess maybe that's where maybe the idea was sprung from there. I'm not really sure. They said that it came to them in some kind of a vision, just sort of happenstance. That's what they were called to do. And here we are. So again, it's kind of interesting as I go, what I'm finding out. It's not what everybody expected. Including myself. It's a little different than what I was hearing, because before I left, obviously there was a lot of questions, a lot of skepticism. And I do understand that. I mean, obviously, some questions I kind of still have because, well, they're just always unknowns. But from so far, what I can tell, these guys are the real deal. They're very genuine. Again, they come from all different nonprofits and things like that. Now, have I had the time to check into all of those things? No, I have not. That's kind of what I depend on you independent journalists to do. I'm just out here trying to cover the live stream as best I can to show everybody in real time. But
have you run into the bandit? There's somebody indeed with a Trans Am, black Trans Am, like from the movie, that was going from DC to there. I'm wondering if the bandit showed up there yet.
Yeah, I heard about that. I'm not really sure. Somebody was saying that in the chat. As you guys know, I've been live streaming pretty much 14, 15 hours a day right now to try and give full transparency, other than when I'm pretty much having my own private conversations with my family and sleeping. So
are you finding that people are frustrated, or are the live streamers there have they been able to, like yourself, been able to push back against the negative mainstream media coverage that has been provided?
Well, the biggest problem we're finding is that a lot of these social media platforms are taking down our videos, or they're shadow banning them and preventing the spread of the information. And that actually seems to be the biggest hurdle that we're trying to overcome, because some of these guys have pretty big platforms on YouTube and stuff, way bigger than my own. But that's okay, because they spend a lot more time on YouTube. I spend a lot more time running out and trying to get people connected and active in their communities, and helping each other out, because that's what it's really about, and that's where the changes are going to be made. But again, the throttling of information seems to be the biggest hurdle for getting anything out that's actually going on with this convoy. And I have been hearing that echoed in a lot of the chats amongst all of the live streamers. The people here, they are all here. They're frustrated with what's going on with our governments and things like that. But these folks are all very much of a mind that prayer is powerful, and that they're here to peaceably assemble. They are very, very assertive about that, that there is no kind of alternate plans there. I've not heard any chatter about that at all. No antics, no nothing. As a matter of fact, one of the more relieving aspects of this is having been at the original convoy and being here on this one. The entire mood of everything is different. The entire outlook is different. And I will say that with like the People's Convoy in Washington D.C., you had a lot more people that treated it like a party. You had a lot of people that weren't they were there, they were serious, but they weren't, in a lot of respects. But here, what I've noticed is everybody's very focused. Everybody's very on point. There's not a lot of carrying on. There's no major drinking. There's no outbursts. There's none of that. It is a totally different vibe here on this convoy. It's actually really kind of nice and relaxing, and very
it's
family.
Exactly like when the Tea Party rallies went to D.C. DC landed up cleaner than when they got there when they were done.
Yeah, exactly. And I have the feeling that that's what's gonna happen here with these guys. They're gonna show the world how this is done peaceably, and how this is done, in a nice manner, without taking everybody for a crazy ride, and leaving some people in the dust. So I don't know. I think this is kind of an interesting experience, and I'm really kind of grateful that I came down here to see it firsthand and get the real scoop.
What's the reaction been there with the participants to Florida and I guess Oklahoma now sending officially National Guard reinforcements to back up Texas?
Well, everybody here seems very, very hopeful about that. Everybody seems excited about that support that's coming in from the other states. A lot of the people here, and I will say, including myself, believe that Texas has a right to defend its own state borders. When you talk to the residents and things like that in the area, we've had a lot of support, a lot of people stopping us, whether we're at a gas station or just, driving around at a park or whatever, and they stop, they come by, they're thanking us for being here and showing our support as well. A lot of these guys, there's no easy solutions to what's going on down here at the border. There are some people that have brought up other aspects of it. How do we stop it? And they said, just putting up razor wire isn't going to necessarily help. A lot of the problem is, from what I'm understanding, a lot of the problem is these NGOs going in, trying to advocate for these asylum rights, and they're promising these folks that the government's going to take care of them when they get here, and then they get here, and it's a very rude awakening because it's all word of mouth. And you have to understand, like in the United States and Canada, it's not as prevalent anymore as it is in some countries, but in a lot of other countries, it's multi-generational families, and they're very, very close-knit, and they're very tight communities. And so word of mouth is really, really important. So when one person says, "Oh yeah, you're going to get all this free," da 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 da, and then their relative makes it through. Yeah, I made it through, and I made it to such and such a place. That word travels rather quickly, and then those folks are off selling their houses, selling off all their possessions to come here just to find themselves sleeping on cardboard in the streets because there's nowhere for them to go. So it is really rather unfortunate because, again, there has to be work done in those other countries, in the home countries too. And I think it's going to take a lot more than just a quick fix of the National Guard shoring up this area here, because again, we do have a lot of border wall that is unprotected, that's owned by the cartels and the coyotes. We know this. That's not really speculation anymore at this point. So there is quite a humanitarian crisis that's going on because of the border. So again, a lot of interest in it, a lot of people very excited about the added support from the National Guard. We have had one or two people that haven't been so happy that we're here, but overwhelmingly has been a positive response the whole way down from all the way from New York, where I started, into Florida, and of course across the states here to Texas. So, and again, you can see it on the live stream. I think I've had maybe 2 what we call freedom fingers the entire time. And of course, I always ask everybody to just pray for them to have the negativity leave their heart. So,
and it's great. You came from New York, you said, so it was
yeah,
a good excuse to go where it's warm.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. I'm actually wearing my flip-flops right now. It is 70 degrees, and the only reason I'm wearing the flannel is because the breeze makes it a little chilly and makes the hair on my arms stand up. But other than that, it is gorgeous. It's been sunny since we got down here, and I'm super grateful because when I left New York on Sunday, there was snow on the ground. I still had snow grime on my truck and on my windshield till the other day when I finally cleaned it off. So this is wonderful. February and sunshine and 70 degrees. You can't beat it, guys. If there is a better place to be right now to stand up for patriotism and stand up for your country, I don't know where it is, because this is honestly awesome.
That's great. And we won't keep you too much longer, but this really, I guess, kind of really gets going this weekend, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you just give us a little bit of the sense of what the timeline is here and how things are going to unfold?
Okay, so I'm not exactly sure what time tomorrow we're rolling out, but tomorrow is going to be the convoy down to Eagle Pass. And the 3rd is the big rally there at the ranch. So you should expect to see us all in transit tomorrow. Again, I did hear rumors. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but I did hear rumors that Ted Nugent is going to be showing up and going to be at the rally. So we will see. That should be an interesting experience if he does show up here. Excuse me.
Well, Nugent does live in Texas these days. He's originally from Jackson, Michigan area.
He's a pretty outspoken guy, and so this should be pretty interesting to meet the Nuge if he comes. as my parents.
I think an important thing to say about all this, though, is that not thousands upon thousands of people. So what? Who cares? We all generally have to raise families or work for a living or something.
Absolutely.
We're not like on Soros's payroll to pay to protest.
Correct.
Have nothing else to do. So these lower numbers, for every one person there, I dare say they represent 1,000, 10,000 more per person that's there.
Oh yeah, I've had anywhere from 100 to 300 people traveling in my passenger seat on a camera at all times. And again, there's probably 10 or 11 different live streamers here that I know personally, just bumping into them over time through the different Patriot events. And again, they carry hundreds of people in their chats, and those people represent people, So it is almost like a representative republic here of all different parts of the nation. We've even got some Canadians here, which is really awesome. So one of the guys that's streaming is Jeff from Travel Fund 69, the channel on YouTube there. He's up there from Canada, and Ron and Amanda Clark are literally on their way to Eagle Pass. They are in the States. They called me earlier today, and they are on their way down. We're expecting them either late tonight or tomorrow.
And
So,
obviously, social media obviously helped play a role, but I think the bigger role was like the old Pantene commercial. You tell two people, they tell two people. The people who would really actually be interested and want to be involved would have likely heard through word of mouth the details, and that it was legit, and that so and so is going. So, oh, okay, I want to go too.
yeah, that's kind of how these things work with the grassroots. A lot of times it goes off of, well, hey, do you know this person? Now, even for me, I did not know these organizers at all myself. However, I do know a few people that knew one or two of them, and they're people that I trust and respect myself. So I said, okay. And it did change my perspective a little. Now, obviously, I'm a little skeptical just because, well, in the last 2 years, I've seen quite a bit while I'm out here. So, I always kind of I'll sit back and I'll watch and see. But so far, everything seems to be exactly what they say it is. And that is a huge relief to me. It is a huge relief to my viewers. I know that. So everybody seems kind of happy with the direction that this is
Yeah,
going.
you've got to be careful because there are certainly scammers and spammers and people
Mhm.
who are just looking to say they're a part of something to sell you some trinket. So
Right.
yeah, it's really best to make sure if you don't know somebody directly that a friend of a friend of a friend at least, not some complete stranger, so you lined up in the backwoods somewhere, who knows what going on, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well,
Well,
that's what I said. It's this is a real relief to me so far. I mean, again, I always encourage people, just like politicians, any place you donate to, anything like that, you always want to check them out. Now, I myself, again, I have not given them any money. I didn't take the time to check them out, so I wasn't giving them my own funds. But I am self-funded getting out here, and I have not asked for any reimbursements. I've not heard of anything like that. So if they are raising any kinds of funds, I don't know what they're going to. I'm sure it's explained on their website. But again, you guys want to, I always tell people, if you don't like your leaders, leaders can't lead without followers. So if you don't follow them, they can't lead, guys. And our dollars and our money is very, very powerful, and we can speak with that. So, again, if you're not sure of something, don't give them your money. If you don't trust them, or if you don't know where they're coming from, or you don't take that time. Obviously, like I said, in the last few years, we've kind of learned those lessons with this movement. You get to know who's who and who's doing the right things. But again, so far, this seems to be 100% legit.
Yeah,
And
I'm
it seems
glad
to
you
be
said that
everything they
about
say it is.
glad you said that about the money, because I say that all the time. Don't give it to the RNC, don't give it to your
Yep,
state party, give directly to candidates. If
yep,
you're in a blue district, find somebody in a purple district to help them win. Give
yep.
so
good conservative, or as I now say, I call myself a Christitutionalist, good, solid Christian based in the U.S. constitutional candidate to give directly to. Don't funnel it through the middlemen where they skim off the top and they give it to God knows who. Give direct to good people, like you said, that you've researched. As Reagan said, trust but verify.
so
Yep, yeah, it's kind of like trust your neighbor, but brand your cattle. So, make sure you guys are
That's
branding your cattle.
that's a
so
good.
listen, Soup Mama. What we'll do here is we'll depart here, and we'll pick up your live feed for just a few minutes, direct people over to your channel so that people know where to find you and they can continue to follow you. When we're not on the air here, or even if we are on the air, if you want to see the live feed, you can go to Soup Mama's channel. So we'll tell people how to do that. But before we do that, just again, explain to people how they can find you.
Okay, well, guys, you can actually type in Soup Mama Official on any search engine, and you will find all of our social medias. We're across all of the platforms, I think. Well, most of the platforms. There's a few smaller ones we're not, but all the major ones we're on. Our Facebook and our YouTube are the most active. The YouTube channel is, again, it's spelled the same way it is on the screen here. Just add official on the end, and you'll be able to find those streams. During this convoy, we've been streaming morning to night. Like I said, pretty much every minute I'm awake, other than that first 5 before I get my coffee. So until I go to bed at night, guys, because I do want to make sure that you're seeing everything that we are, getting the full story, because I promised everybody that follows me and my channel 100% transparency with this journey. And I want everybody to have that, because we deserve the truth of what's going on with this, and we deserve the truth of what's going on at the border. So again, I plan on spending those extra couple days and trying to get down there with some extra footage for you guys.
Awesome. And we'll check back in with you, not only for that, because I'd like to, kind of check in regularly with you during this journey, but I found out, and you're probably aware, that the president is going to East Palestine within days.
Yes, I heard that. And I'm very upset that I'm in Texas and not in Ohio to go give him the proper greeting that he deserves. However, I do know that East Palestine itself, a lot of the residents are planning on welcoming him in their own way. So I do have a couple of friends that are also planning on showing up, that have also been an instrumental part of getting donation relief to East Palestine. Some of the other folks that are here in this Patriot movement, like I said, they're planning on going and standing strong with East Palestine. And God bless my Patriot family that's going to be there with them. As you guys may or may not know, one of the members of the Soup Mama official kitchen board is from Nagley, Ohio, and her property line is literally Leslie Run, that contaminated stream. So yeah, I'm hoping that she is going to be live streaming that coverage on Facebook, hopefully, since I've been running on YouTube for the convoy. But we're hoping to get that footage for you guys too from East Palestine, so that you can see the greeting that Biden gets when he gets there. And I don't think that it's going to be what he's hoping for or expects at this time, because these folks are pretty angry that they've been forgotten and haven't gotten any aid or any help whatsoever, and they've been kind of left behind. So I'm sure it's going to be an interesting reaction there. But we as a kitchen, we are going back March 23rd for a donation distribution to help bring some relief goods back to these guys. We haven't been out there since last April, and they've still received zero help, guys, from anybody in the government. Zero help. So we're planning on taking some relief goods. We do have a donation drive. We have an Amazon wish list. We have a direct shipping address, and we have several payment platforms if you guys want to just donate money so we can purchase foods and fresh fruits and vegetables and things to add to that distribution. All the basics: food, water, bedding, medicine, immune support, just to give them a little relief so that they can catch up on those medical bills and things from all of the after effects from that derailment and burn.
And to remind everybody, while you were talking, I went to soupmamaofficial.com. So I'm following you on Twitter, subscribe to you on YouTube, also following you on Gab and Getter now. So I go under an alias on Facebook, though, so I'm not bothering there.
Well, Facebook is the same thing, Soup Mama Official. One of the things that everybody could help me out with, if they're, and I know it's terrible, but if they're on TikTok, if they could please follow the channel. We're trying to get 1,000 followers so we can go live. It's not a great platform. It's not my favorite platform, and for all the reasons, because of it being owned by China. But
you gotta be there.
a lot of people who are on there that I can't reach otherwise. And the goal is to reach as many people out there as possible and unite as many. So if you guys are listening to this and you have an extra couple of seconds, just hit that follow button on TikTok so we can get live on there as well and reach a much larger Patriot audience. So we can definitely get everybody united, involved, and make some good changes in this world. That's really what it's all about.
I would do that on TikTok, but for some reason I put up 3 TikTok videos about my books, and then they locked me out. So I have no idea what's going on there. But yeah, I don't understand. I've written several pieces like tinyurl.com/social media never surrender. I don't get why some people want to limit themselves. Like I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, Brightia. Why do some people want to limit their reach? I don't quite get that. I'm on Getter, Gab, MeWe, Spreely, 15 different platforms. I don't understand
I'm working off about 10 right now. TikTok is my most banned. They actually have taken down the most videos out of any social media platform, which I found really interesting. Because everybody's like, oh, TikTok, you can put all this stuff on. No, you can't. However, like I said, guys, if you can help us out, we are trying to grow our social media platforms so that we can get that reach out for everybody. And I really appreciate you having me on. We'll keep checking in from the road. I think tomorrow, like I said, it's mostly going to be a driving day. But I'll check in with you and let you know what's happening if there's anything exciting going on at nighttime. And other than that, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you, Soup Mama.
You guys take care.
All right.
Now I want some chicken noodle soup, though.
All right. Thank you again.
See you next time.
Talk to you
Take
soon.
care.
Bye. And there you go, Soup Mama in Texas tonight.
No soup for you. For those who will get the Seinfeld reference. Yeah.
Okay, hang on there, folks. We'll be right back after this.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, Joseph, let's dip back into that news conference with Ron DeSantis sending reinforcements.
Hopefully they're past the introductions now. Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. Okay. Ron DeSantis, news conference, sending National Guard reinforcements to Texas.
To January 20th, 2021, what does Joe Biden do as soon as he gets into office?
How do celebrities like Justin Bieber and the...
I don't know how they do that. They Justin Bieber on the rock.
He says he's not going to deport people for 100 days. He issues a slew of executive orders to not just not have the border be fortified, but really to invite people to come in. And when he was running for president, he had said that people are going to be able to come in, and he created an environment where you could pay some coyote thousands of dollars and just get to that border and you're home free. And so we've seen a huge increase over many years, and now it's as bad as it's ever been at the southern border. We understood this problem in Florida right at the beginning in 2021. And so as this was happening, Texas was scrambling to defend its people, defend its state, and they needed assistance. They weren't getting any assistance from the federal government. Federal government was acting to thwart what they were trying to do. So we stepped up all the way back in 2021, and we've had people on the ground there since 2021. We've had National Guard, we've had Highway Patrol, Fish and Wildlife, Florida Department of Law Enforcement, you name it. They have been there, and they've been making a big difference, and they've been able to see a lot of the things that are happening. We have our folks from FHP. They're stopping people from Iran coming across the border, Morocco, all these places around the world, which is just crazy that this is happening. And Director Kerner can talk about, he's got a whole laundry list of things. They just had an alien from Mexico that they picked up near the border who was wanted for capital murder in the Houston area. So this has been a total disaster. You have massive amounts of drugs pouring into the border, and then the sheer number of people. You know, you don't hear these cities talk about being sanctuary cities anymore, do you? Because they realize you can't possibly take this many people coming in. So we've been assisting from the beginning. We've also taken steps here in the state of Florida. We've signed strong legislation to protect Floridians against illegal immigration, including banning sanctuary cities, including having E-Verify for employers, including increasing penalties for human trafficking and human smuggling. We've also banned local governments and non-government organizations from issuing ID cards to illegal aliens. And we've invalidated out-of-state licenses that have been issued to illegal aliens by states like California. We're not recognizing that here in the state of Florida. And so we've been very, very strong on this. We understand the costs involved, and there are many, many costs. We now have more fentanyl deaths on a yearly basis than we've ever had. It's been going up and up. We've done a lot to stop that here in Florida, and we've had some success in slowing the problem. But when you have this much coming in, I mean, I think they just did, 15,000 pills that they just seized in Florida, fentanyl pills. They were disguised as Oxycontin. They were really fentanyl. And and I've been doing this now for years, raising the alarm on it. When you talk to parents who've lost kids from fentanyl poisoning, a lot of times it's in one of those situations. They think they're taking an Oxycontin or something, which, they shouldn't be doing. But if it's laced with fentanyl, you could be poisoned to death right there. So all of those fake Oxycontin that are fentanyl, those are potential death sentences to anyone that takes it. And so we see that. And the human toll has been incredible that this is happening. Biden has the authority to close this border today if he wanted to. He lacks the will to get the job done. He lacks the capacity to see the problem for what it is and to get the job done. And so the American people are basically left scrambling, and they're left to have to deal with this all on their own. Now, we've done a lot. FHP troopers, since 2021, they've intercepted 150,000 illegal aliens. And they have been instrumental in generating over 2,000 human trafficking and human smuggling charges in the state of Texas. Our National Guard have helped staff observation points, patrols, and they have helped with fencing and barriers. Our Florida Department of Law Enforcement has assisted Texas DPS with arrests of criminal aliens, including violent gang members. And Florida Fish and Wildlife has deployed hundreds of officers, over 500 four-wheel drive patrol trucks, and 24 vessels to assist in patrolling the border along the Rio Grande River. So we have stepped up probably more than any other state has stepped up, and we're proud to do that. However, we don't think this is enough. I believe that a state has a right to fortify its own borders. And so if Texas is helping to erect barriers, putting up razor wire, doing other things to keep illegal aliens out, I want to be helpful with them doing that. I don't want to be part of the federal government trying to tear down these barriers and let more people in illegally. This is crazy that this is the case. So today, we are going to fortify our presence along the southern border. We're providing up to 1 battalion of Florida National Guard, as well as our first ever deployment of the Florida State Guard. And the goal is to help Texas fortify this border, help them strengthen the barricades, help them add barriers, help them add the wire that they need to so that we can stop this invasion once and for all. And the states have to band together. The states have to band together to be able to defend the rule of law. And we see the problems, the drugs, the crime, just the sheer number of people. What has that done to hospitals? What has it done to education? It's just, you just can't do it. I mean, we probably have had 10 million come illegally since Biden's been president, but that number, even if that was legal, we cannot absorb that many people. It's just not the way you do business. It's not the way you run a country, but it's also a larger issue.
I chose Wix for my business because of its
So, Joseph, give me your thoughts.
Well, he's talking about breaking the law. Now, you know how my warp brain works. Now I've got Judas Priest breaking the law in my head. But, you know, this is a serious point there. If it's illegal for Texas to put up the razor wire, but it's to stop other criminals from breaking the law and coming into the nation illegally. You've got, just for sake of argument, let's just go with it. They're both breaking the law, but the Biden administration is only concerned about who breaking the law? The people trying to keep the actual drug smugglers, human trafficker, lawbreakers out. He wants to stop Abbott and let the illegals continue to flood in. I mean, how does that not tell so many people all they need to know about the picking and choosing of what laws we do and do not enforce? And spare me the, Congress, the rhinos and the fascocrats have got a bill that will limit it to 5,000 a day. No, zero is the number. Zero. It's already illegal. We don't need a bill. We don't need new laws. We don't need anything but Biden and Mayorkas to actually enforce the actual laws that are already there, that they are in dereliction of duty, in violation of their oath of office, and I dare say guilty, therefore, of treason.
That's a very serious word, isn't it? Treason. What do you give me first of all, your definition of what you mean treason is in this case, and then tell me where you see that going in terms of accountability.
Treason, Benedict Arnold aided and abetted the British that we were fighting. Spies aided and abetted during the Manhattan Project the Russians leaking secrets of the atomic. Those are all people who had committed treason. This is no different. They are aiding and abetting a foreign army invading the United States. Where are the women and the children? How many times do people have to repeat that? Day after day after day after day, shown military-aged males and or criminals like the Cuban boat lift that Castro emptied his jails, put them on boats to come across. Guatemala, Venezuela, they're all emptying their prisons and sending these lowlives on their way here. Like in New York, there's a rash of pickpocketing now. They just didn't learn that when they got here. They were criminals in their home country. They're now committing additional criminal acts beyond their initial criminal act of breaking into the nation illegally on the streets. And you've seen the video, I don't know if you have it ready to cue or anything, of the illegals beating on some cops. And Jokel, as I call her, not Hokel, Jokel, she's a joke. And Adams, so tough, you dare not, these people need to be deported. But you don't hear one damn word out of their mouth about them changing the sanctuary city or sanctuary state status so that then ICE can come in, round them up, and deport them. All hat, no cattle, since we're talking Texas again. All talk because it's an election year.
Yeah, so I do have the video of that incident
I thought you might.
I think it's eight. I think it's eight. 8 migrants.
8, 10, 12. I've heard.
I believe it's 8, and
conflicting numbers.
I have to get the right tab up here. 8 of them beating up, I believe it's 2 police officers.
Released without bail. Just let right back out on the street again.
Right. So here we go.
Kicking them in the head. That is, in my mind, premeditated attempted murder. They should be charged with, and in Rikers Island, being held because they're illegal, they're a flight risk until their trial. And from what I've heard just an hour ago, some of them supposedly, since they're out on no bail, have supposedly hopped a bus for California. Does anybody really think they're going to make it to California? They're not going to stop somewhere along the way where they think they can blend into some small community and continue their crime sprees?
So, yeah, that incident playing directly into everything going on at the border right now, and President Trump.
And again, Jokel and Adams, nothing. All talk. Blah, 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 blah. All talk, zero action. Just like a whole lot of people, unfortunately, online, virtue signaling.
And here's Donald Trump on this.
You have the right to close up your border. You don't need bills that complicate it and make it to a level that nobody's going to be able to do it. And the minimum was 5,000 people a day, if that can be right. It's hard to believe that can be right, but they were negotiating to allow 5,000 people a day. That's a tremendous amount. Nobody wants to have that happen to our country, and they're still not going to know where they're coming from. Right now, we have no idea who these people are that are pouring into our countries. Last night, I watched where they're beating up police officers in New York City, a gang of people that just came in that didn't speak English. Nobody knows who they are, where they come from. And very importantly, they come from, I can tell you, they come from jails and prisons. They come from mental institutions and insane asylums. And they're terrorists. They have a lot of terrorists coming too. And we don't want them. I'm sorry. So we had a very strong border. Yeah.
You want to elaborate?
Right. Well, he kind of reiterated everything I've already just said. And again, we don't need a new bill. We don't need any new legislation. We don't need any more money. We need a stay in Mexico policy again. So then there are less here to deal with. And ICE, instead of being babysitters and diaper changers, can actually do their damn job and deport people. We don't need anything new or different. They refuse to uphold their oath of office and enforce the laws we got. Another law is supposed to do what? That they will just ignore? I'm old enough to remember 80s. Reagan and Tip O'Neill, right? The left promises. Tip O'Neill and the Democrats promised border security if we would provide amnesty for the 1 million or whatever it was then. Only 1 million then. So, of course, Reagan made the deal. Dumb. Don't be stupid again. You're not going to fool us again. You'll promise border security for partial amnesty or whatever, or more money, because again, Hochul and Adams aren't changing their sanctuary city policy. They just want more money. So you give them more money, they land up in the money gets laundered to the blue cities. That's all it's about. We will never get the increased border security they promised. We've seen this movie before.
Interesting. I'm just seeing something about a protest with regard to this in New York, and I don't know exactly how accurate this is. I'll be looking into this to see if there's anything to show you or not. So I've got my eyes on it, and I know that senior police officials were today saying, that the reason you're getting these incidents, what an incident like this where the police officers were beaten, is because there's no consequence. These guys were released on bail, right? Or just released.
Exactly.
So,
Zero bail, $0 bail.
Yeah.
They didn't have to put up any cash, no bails, bondsman, no nothing, just basically released on their own reconnaissance. People who literally broke into the country are trespassing in New York, could go then anywhere else. They're a flight risk. Anyone else who is a flight risk would be locked up till their trial date, because that's the point of keeping them locked up, so they can't fly off or run off somewhere. But back to the picking and choosing the laws. You've got these rapists, murderers, drug dealers, and then you got a jaywalker. Biden is worried about the jaywalker.
Yeah. So Trump talked about terrorists actually coming across the border, and that's really one of the main reasons I was so excited to get you back here tonight, Joseph, because you've done a lot of research into terrorism. Your book Terror Strikes deals specifically with that subject matter. What is your assessment of what is going on at the border and your reaction to Trump's statement on the terror threat?
It is there, but for the grace of God go I, as the saying goes, right? There are terror strikes and events that have been happening. You're not hearing about it because they're afraid of that narrative, because they will be tied, a lot of these, to these illegals. So the media, including faux news and even Newsmax, who I like a lot better still, and OAN, quiet. Do you remember when LAX was shut down for 3 days? That was a terrorist strike on the power grid that shut down LAX for 3 days. Have they done a damn thing about it? No. Radio silence. Moot. Keep quiet. That was a dry run. Something big is going to happen, and these people are going to feign surprise. Oh, we're shocked. What a complete shock. This is out of the blue. No, it's not. And there's too many of these terror cells now here, or even just these gangs, not just MS-13, these gangs, mini terror groups in and of themselves, for the FBI to be focusing on and doing anything about. Plus, we've discussed before, the DOJ is too busy rounding up 80-year-old granny that was 3 blocks away from the Capitol on January 6th to try and charge her with insurrection or trespassing or whatever, to keep that right-wing, terror, domestic terror, false narrative going. They're too busy invading Latin Catholic masses because they're afraid of, as I discuss in Constitutionalist Politics, the black robe regiments coming back, the black robe brigades, where by day, finally, the priests, the reverends, the ministers, the whatever your particular Christian sect calls them, are going to finally, and it's happening more in Catholic churches, which is why they're mainly infiltrating Catholic churches right now, but it's spreading. They're speaking the whole gospel now, the whole truth, just like they did during the revolutionary days. They're donning the armor of God by day, and by night they're out fighting the tyrannical government, because Jesus was not a socialist. Render unto Caesar doesn't mean let the government do whatever the hell it pleases, especially our government, because we are of the people, by the people, and for the people. We, the people, are the government. And we've let them get away with far too much for far too long. I think they want a major terror event, which again, they'll feign, shock and surprise, but that will be yet another then distraction for the ability to crack down on Americans. Somehow they'll pin it on it's all Americans' fault.
Yeah, well, you guys have a just a different form of government than we have up here in Canada. And your attitude is a little bit different too. And that's, because of the kind of constitution you have. You are a republic and we're not.
We are not a mobocracy, and the left is turning us into a kleptocracy and ineptocracy. All about identity politics and DIE, diversity, inclusion, and equity, which is really cultural Marxism. It's about killing Western culture. That's why I call it DIE, not DEI. It's about killing Western culture. And, they're focusing all of that energy on that we have to try to push back on.
Yeah. Let's take another quick break. And when we come back, we've got somebody else arriving in Dripping Springs, Texas, on their way to Eagle Pass. So we'll continue right after this. Do not go away.
The New World Order. Government overreach. The Great Reset. Mainstream media lies. Now more than ever, independent voices are needed. Donate now at freedomreporters.com. That's freedomreporters.com. Maverick News. The antivirus program for your mind.
Maverick News. The world is watching. Fear not the storm, for truth is on our side. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, let's pick up this feed, and this should give us a sense of the size of the crowd there in Dripping Springs.
Bless you guys. Hello. Hello. God bless you guys. Hello. Texas. Hello. God bless you guys. Hello. 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 God bless you, brother. God bless you. God bless. God bless. Wow, this is what I'm talking about, man. This is crazy. Look at this. Wow, man. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Still hard to get a real perspective on the size. That wasn't showing a whole lot, and it's dark now, so it makes it even harder to see it.
Yeah, so definitely have more people today. Absolutely. I'm just checking out some other stuff here. What do you think ultimately will happen when they get down there to Eagle Pass, Joseph? Do you think?
Well, I know. We talked to Tino Bambino on X the other day. I'm no longer part of Savage Unfiltered, but I was still then, and we were talking about this to the lead up to it, and they were reiterating over and over, peaceful, peaceful, peaceful. Just like Trump said on January 6th, go there and peacefully have your voice be heard. Just like Jan 6th, would it surprise anyone if Ray Epps showed up there and tried to instigate some things? And if not Ray Epps, there will be some other agitators there trying to, of course, again, blame these people for some violence that breaks out, but it will be leftist, probably Antifa or Fed plants in the crowd again.
Here's some footage from the channel of Governor Greg Abbott in Texas. He has just released this. Oh, hang on. This computer is kind of wonky. Here we go. Shows you some of the action right on the border. So this is what we're seeing today, just a short time ago, actually. Within a couple of hours, you see people crossing right there. And the razor wire.
Yeah, the razor wire alone isn't going to do a ton, but with the flood and the numbers we're dealing with, and any finger in the dike, in the dam at this point, is at least something, whereas Biden wants absolutely nothing done.
Yeah. This is heavy duty politics. A lot of it, when you get into this kind of politics, it can be difficult to have an accurate perspective, on how big something is, how serious something is. This is an issue that's been going on for a long time.
It goes way back. Again, the amnesty deal that Reagan fell for, that they want and expect us all to fall for again. No, you don't need new laws. You don't need new anything. Oh, let me throw this out here too, by the way. You Democrats saying, oh, we need some. No, you're ignoring law, a lot of which was signed into law by one of your heroes, William Jefferson Clinton. But of course, you don't care. Facts don't matter. Back when there was a Democrat that still semi-cared about appearing to want to secure the border. All those laws you're ignoring. But again, to be fair, I'm not a partisan hack. G.W. Bush didn't do enough. Definitely didn't. H.W. Bush certainly didn't do enough, because H.W. I think is a Chamber of Commerce establishment hack, rhino open border type. But the numbers then are nothing like the numbers we're dealing with now.
I was able to obtain this from Channel 10 Tampa Bay, because all this stuff was going on with the DeSantis today. And as I say, it's difficult to know how large something is, get the proper perspective on things. But in this report, they also highlight some of the outright bogus, false, fake news that's going on out there. So let's just pick this up and I'll show you what I mean. This relates specifically to claims that there are tanks on the move in Texas to secure the border.
Tensions between the federal government and Texas remain high along the border. A video circulating on X with hundreds of thousands of views claims the feud is escalating and tanks were recently spotted at the border. But is that really what the video shows? Let's verify. Our sources are a video posted to TikTok in November 2023, an analysis of the viral video, and a reverse image search with Revi and Google Maps. We did a reverse image search and found the video was first posted to TikTok last November. We also took a closer look at the video and saw a road sign that points to Calama and Estación O'Higgins, two locations in Chile, not the United States. The truck in the video also has a Chilean license plate. Finally, using Google Maps, we confirmed the video was shot along a highway in northern Chile, not the US. You can see the same green road signs, white buildings, and fencing in Google Maps and the video. So, no, this video does not show tanks at the Texas border. It's a video from Chile, first published in November. With your Verify along the US-Mexico border in San Diego, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Wow, an actual journalist? He's a real journalist. He actually did journalism there.
Pretty cool. So I'm glad we were able to get that and share that with you tonight. I'm seeing other videos too that are highly suspect that I won't share with you tonight until I'm able to verify, but other videos of tanks that I think are bogus. And later on the newscast here on Maverick News, Kevin Michelizzi will join us from Crimea to talk not only about Ukraine, the situation there, but also about government psyops, misinformation, fake news, because as many of you may know, Kevin's a regular contributor here, and he is also an expert in that field in information warfare. So we'll look forward to having Kevin on later on in the broadcast. And he has some information about the war in Ukraine that you are just not going to get anyplace else, only here. And he'll give us his expert assessments on what's going on with some fake news that's circulating as a result of this whole situation at the border in Texas. Any thoughts on that, Joseph?
Oh, there's a whole lot of that. I mean, again, to be straight down the middle, analytical, honest, left propaganda, right propaganda, right? You trust but verify, right? What is your source for news? If it's CNN, oh, God love, bless your heart, as they would say in the South, right? But again, I called out faux news earlier, and even Newsmax. Newsmax got really, they're not journalists, they're teleprompter readers. Where are you getting your real news from of people like a Rick Walker or myself, who is digging under the covers and doing some actual journalism to get to the nitty gritty of it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly of it? Like I always say on my Constitutionalist show, I'm not going to just give you my personal preferred spin. I'm going to give you all of it. It's part of what Rick does here, the honesty. So you see it all, and when you see the propaganda from either side, that truth generally, obviously, there is in the middle, because those on the left want to stir up this notion of the Civil War, and there are some on the right whose palms are getting greased that are stirring up those same things. Oh, there's going to be a civil war. People, there are like 50 million people in the United States not registered to vote. I go into this in constitutionalist politics. If just half of those lazy bastards got off their ass, registered to vote, assuming they're real Christians, and followed the Bible and applied biblical practice to their politics rather than trying to twist and warp the Bible to fit their worldview, if 25 million other real Christians woke up, paid attention, and voted, they couldn't cheat enough to defeat us, because Biden really won, for all the pomp and circumstances, the last election by 55, fraud, whatever, all aside, just the raw number, 55,000 votes across 5 states. And I'm talking 50 million people not registered to vote. We only need 10% of that in 10 states, and they could never defeat us.
So, talking about truth, I think we were getting some truth today from Trucker G, who is also on his way down to Eagle Pass. And we have a little clip from Trucker G here now that we're going to share with you. He was in touch with some of the main organizers. I know that he has been, trying to address, like many others, some of the, I guess, gargantuan claims that created some gargantuan expectations heading into this convoy, with predictions of as many as 700,000 trucks supposed to be participating in this convoy. Of course, we don't have anywhere near that. We have, probably in this one convoy, what, Joseph, what would you say, 100 and some vehicles, maybe? I don't know.
But that's still, in my mind, a significant number, because again, each one of them represents another 1,000 who can't be there, if we're talking truckers in this case, because they've got to haul shit to earn a living. They're busy earning a living. They can't take the time to do this.
Sure. So let's pick up this this clip with Trucker G. Here we go into Trucker G's cab.
That I'm going to say, but I'm just going to say it. You see my first video, I talked to one of the organizers, lead organizers from the Texas convoy, and he went over what his vision of this convoy was going to be, and it's going to be, he wants it to be a peaceful revival style convoy, and we discussed that. But he shot me a text yesterday, and basically he said, "Gee, I need some help." He goes, "I need help trying to squash the false narrative of the mainstream media." And I told Mr. G, I said, "I'm going to have to give Robert a call." It was Robert A.G. I'm talking about. So I gave Robert A.G. a call last night, and we had a good conversation. And I'll kind of go over that conversation that we had. And when I talked to him, I said, "What's going on, Robert?" And he started telling me, basically that he's having a lot of trouble with the false narrative, a lot of rumors, a lot of lies going around. And I went ahead and I told him, "Robert," I go, "Well, I'll tell you what my response was." I said, "Robert," I said, "I'm a very blunt and forward kind of guy. I don't sugarcoat nothing. And all you that know me, you know how I am. I don't sugarcoat anything." I said, "It's going to be hard to get in front of the mainstream media and false narrative. It's going to be hard to squash it, should I say. You guys made some mistakes. And the best way to get in front of something like is to not allow it to happen to begin with. You got to be precise and direct and very honest with what you're doing." And I'll explain what I mean. I said, when you guys put up your website and named your event, "Take Back Our Border," that was one of your mistakes. That insinuates that it's call to action. The other mistake was the guy standing in front of the fence, holding hands like they're going to block the fence. That was another mistake. It's another thing to insinuate a call to action. Another mistake was putting the number 700,000 anywhere on your website. I know I got some black saying, well, gee, she never said that. She never said that. It said that it would take 700,000. You don't put no kind of numbers on it. And I explained to him, during the first convoy, there was an article that I read the very day that I showed up at Atlanta, and it said there's going to be 2,000 trucks there. And first thing I did is look for the other lead organizers, and I said, who in the heck wrote this? Who said anything about 2,000 trucks? He said, it was one of the groups that were helping out. I said, there isn't going to be 2,000 trucks here. You never put a number on something, because as soon as you put a number on it, people expect that number to happen, whether that's what you meant or not. All they see is that number. Let's just say that 100,000 people showed up at that event. Heck, I'd call it a success with 100 people, to be honest with you. But if only 100 people show up, 700,000 is what people are expecting, because they've seen that number, no matter what that number meant, and they're going to be disappointed. And Robert said, yeah, I didn't really have nothing to do with the flyer or the website and what picture was used. He goes, I kind of thought the same thing. But that's hindsight, that's something that you can't change. It's already out there. It's been done. And no big deal. What you got to do is figure out how you're going to come back from this and how you're going to set the record straight. And the only way you can do that is keep making videos and keep putting press releases out there, reiterating what your intentions are. And that's the revival and prayer. And I still told Robert, I said, if 40 people show up, I'll find this a success. I can't even say it. Success. I said, because those 40 people praying right there with you, you have a million other people sitting at home that can't afford or don't have the help to be there, that are praying right along with you.
I said that.
And that's kind of the conversation we had. It's tough. I wish they would have gone about it a different way. He said he didn't do the flyer or the post, the flyer or the website and stuff. And I said, well, whoever did it, they're either ignorant, and I don't mean that in a bad way. That means just they didn't know what they were doing, or they knew exactly what they were doing, and they were trying to boost numbers and get people riled up to just show up, knowing that's not what your intentions were. He goes, gee, my intentions were never to create any action or to have any action. My intentions were just that, just to pray, and the power of prayer is tremendous. Guys, now I'm going to speak to you from my heart. If 700,000 people don't show there, I mean, even if 100,000 or 50,000 or 1,000 don't show up there, don't think of this as a failure. It's like I said, there's a million other people that just can't be there, me being one of them, that are praying right along with them. The other thing is I wouldn't expect a lot of trucks to be there. Is it because truckers don't care? No, it's not because truckers don't care. It's because we're having a hard time out here right now. We're barely, a lot of us are barely surviving. And we can't afford to do it. And I know some people can say, well, gee, you can afford to go home. Why can't you go there instead? Well, my home's only 100 miles away from where I've got to be delivered. Actually, I think I got a load that's going to be delivered in about 30 miles from the house, which is even better. So it don't cost me that much to run my truck from 30 miles to 100 miles as it would be for me to go 1,000 miles over there. It's a lot of money to run these trucks. And I don't mean just fuel. I've got truck payment. I've got insurance. I've got permits. You name it. Those bills don't stop.
Maintenance.
I mean, Yeah, like I said, those bills don't. It costs me a lot of money to run this truck, and the same goes to for the other drivers out here. It costs them a lot of money to run their trucks. These company drivers, they can't just take their trucks there, not without their company's permission. So don't hold it against the truck drivers for not being there. I know so many people, and I've heard it for quite a while. Well, you truck drivers could solve this whole problem. Stop relying on everybody else. All we can do is our own part. And if you don't think enough is being done, step up. Maybe it's your turn. Maybe if you feel that way deep enough, then something in your heart's telling you that you need to step up. I had one gentleman say in the comment yesterday, is why are truck drivers joining another convoy for the border when we should be protesting these rates and these rates and trucker issues? And my comment back to him was, organize it, make it happen, and I'll promote it. He comes back with, I don't need your promotion. I need to know if you're going to show up. I said, well, if it's a solid enough organization and a solid enough plan, then I'll be there. Because it has to do with me making money.
Absolutely.
So, I'll throw it over to you for a comment.
Yeah, he kind of reiterated a lot of everything I said. The one thing he said that I didn't, and we kind of hadn't touched on, is indeed the number thing. The media has been playing it up too, because they want to be able to portray it, as he says, as a failure. So they want the numbers to be bumped and padded. And then if it doesn't turn out to be X, they'll then go 24/7. Oh, it's a failure. This didn't happen. This isn't really how people feel. But he's right, like I said. For every one person, there's 100, 1,000, 10,000, potentially more that one person represents. So if it's 1,000 people, that really could mean 1,000,000 people.
I guess it depends on how you look at
it. Well, Antifa plays that game, right? BLM plays that game, but they've got the media to back them up. They show up with small numbers, and they do tight camera angles to make it look like they're bigger than what they are, and the media plays it up. The exact opposite is good. Like we saw that one video where he was showing, the cars and the people are spread out. So there's space being taken up, but they're going to use the wide angle and say, look, there's next to nobody there. This was a nothing burger. These are the games, Orwell style, they play. And people need to wake the fuck up to these facts.
Well, they're still en route. They're still picking up more and more people. They started out only with about 20 vehicles in the first convoy. Now there are apparently several, and rolling not just to Eagle Pass, but also locations in Arizona.
Well, that's
and
the other
California.
thing too, is they're spreading themselves out. Whereas one big thing or a bunch of littler things. So again, they can then focus on the Texas thing, and that was a nothing burger. Meanwhile, there's really 10 other like things that may have had even more people. So again, these are the numbers games the media plays. And like I said, Rick, I'm going to have to duck out because I do have a thing at 8, and I'm hoping to try to get the stupid headphones working for that. So I need to play with that a bit. Thanks for having me on again, brother. I greatly appreciate it. You know I love you, and I'll talk to you again sometime soon.
All right. Thank you for helping us out tonight, Joseph. Always appreciate having you here. Appreciate you. Okay, folks. We have a lot more ground to cover tonight, a lot of other stuff coming up. So don't go away. You're not going to want to miss what we have coming up.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Hello there, I'm back, and so are you. You can support the channel by donating at either, where are we at here? You guys know the drill. Well, the main one is, here it is here, maverickdonations.com. You can donate there at the Give, Send, Go, or you can help us out and cover the bills at freedomreporters.com. Fund the operation. Help us with the coverage that we continue to provide here, like you're getting tonight and like you're going to get on Sunday as we cover the situation in East Palestine, like we provide every night, giving you guys a voice. And yes, we still have some of these shirts. We have, well, these are the SST shirts with the silver metallic embroidery, or these Maverick News shirts. Anybody donating $60 or more for these Dickies shirts with the embroidered logo, I'll send you one of these shirts. Just send me a note when you donate and let me know what size you need. We also have these hoodies. I think we've still got some. Yeah, we still have some of these hoodies left. Yeah, same thing, $60 donation or more. And these are really nice. I'll send you a hoodie with the logo on it. This is actually a sweatshirt. I think we've got a few sweatshirts too. And t-shirts. Donations of $30 or more, and I can send you a t-shirt. And it is the beginning of the month. We have bills to cover off, as always, so the support is greatly appreciated. And of course, every politician is out there trying to raise funds as well, including RFK Jr. And as you can see from this report, he spent more in the last quarter on his campaign than they raised, and they left $5.4 million in the bank. So I don't know how to assess exactly where RFK Jr. is at with his campaign. He seemed to have some real momentum. I think he's kind of plateauing here for the moment, flatlining just a little bit at a certain level. He sometime back replaced his campaign manager. I think they're going in a bit of a different direction. I think he's been bogged down by this Israel issue, the war in Gaza. I think that hurt him because his base was expecting him to just come in strong and support the Palestinian position, and he has not done that. Quite the opposite, actually. He's been, focused very much on supporting Israel. But I don't know, the the whole campaign doesn't seem to have much of momentum at the moment. He needs to, in my view, actually start to campaign. I think he's politicking more than campaigning at the moment. This whole thing with Israel, Palestine, it really sidetracked him and sucked the momentum out of everything he was doing. So we'll continue to monitor his situation on the campaign trail, because hopefully he gets back on it. It makes the race a little bit more interesting, because Donald Trump, it looks like, could wrap up the nomination in literally in record time on the GOP side. Nikki Haley's still kind of hanging in there, but yeah, it looks like it looks like the campaign this time around could wrap up faster than any race for a nomination in American political history. He has just dominated so decisively his GOP opponents that it could be a new record. All that has to happen now is Nikki Haley has to kind of just get out of the way and hand it over to him. And I don't know what to say about that other than what I just said. What else do we have for you tonight? Medical assistance in dying. The other day, we told you, was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before. Yesterday, Canada's health minister, Mark Holland, saying they were looking at extending or delaying, rather, the plan to expand doctor-assisted suicide in Canada. The Liberals want to provide doctor-assisted suicide to people with mental illness. Very controversial. Now it looks like that expansion will be delayed until at least maybe 2027. And they were looking at getting this in place within, I think, maybe even as early as next month. And now pushing it ahead that far. And you all know where I stand on this. I'm so very opposed to this. Really bothers me. It really does. Anyway, we have Mark Holland here in the scrum coming up for you. Let's pick this up and get these comments.
Table legislation with respect to medical assistance in dying.
Hang on. So they did file this legislation or table it today.
Cause with a 3-year extension. It will allow in 2 years for there to be a parliamentary review to assess the state of readiness of the system at this time. I can say that I've communicated with all of my provincial counterparts. I haven't had an opportunity with my territorial counterparts on this, but their response was very favorable, as I think you'll hear. They really do feel that they need more time to be able to look at this. I will state again that the question at issue here is a question of readiness. We accept equivalency in the suffering of mental suffering and physical suffering. And of course, here we're talking about mental illness. It shouldn't be conflated with mental health concerns. But I will lastly say that the time that we have to adopt this is limited. We certainly are having conversations, Minister Barani and I, with our opposition counterparts, because we have a looming date in March by which we have to get this done in limited sitting days. But I once again want to thank the Joint Committee for its work. So the committee process really on the Senate and House side has been completed through that work. And the consultations they had and the recommendations were key to the decision that was made today and the legislation that we tabled. I'll turn it over to Minister Farhani, and then je peux répéter les choses en français.
And I'll just add to that, we've also had some conversations with Senator Mark Gold with respect to the assistance of the Senate in ensuring the expeditious passage of this bill. We reflected on this very clearly in terms of what we've learned from not just this most recent study by the Joint Committee, but it's really actually the second study of this issue reflected on that. And what we are saying to Canadians is that because of the significance of the decision, because of the nature of the consequences of this kind of policy, we have to ensure that we get it right, and we are determined to do just that. And putting a pause on it for the next 3 years will ensure the system readiness, which is what the healthcare system has indicated is required and what Canadians are asking. Thank you.
That's enough. The Conservatives are opposed. They want it stopped. The Liberals, they want to push ahead with it. Man. Not my thing. Okay, let's go back to the live feed here from Soup Mama, Dripping Springs, Texas. They're on their way to either pass, border protest.
Looking at this monstrous COVID and wondering when it was going to affect us. My answer that day to that lady was, ma'am, if I am responding around the world, how can I not when my own country needs me? But she asked me, you know how to work in untraditional settings, chaotic environments, and little supplies. I said, ma'am, you're singing my song. What are you really asking? That's when she asked me, would I serve in New York City? I saw some things in New York City that I can guarantee I will stand up and make sure we never see again in our country. I came back from New York City after 93 days. I'd fly out on Friday, work Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday, come back to Michigan on Monday, work in my office Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because we never shut down, and I continue to treat my patients. But what I saw, I thought, how dare they? Forbidding physicians to prescribe medications that were safe, shutting.
Okay, so at the risk of getting banned, hang on just a second here.
Again, do that, ladies and gentlemen. We can never again. And we need a real physician in Senate that can help Rand Paul and say, no, Fauci needs to be tried to the extent of the law. He's not a physician. And we need physicians that are going to stand up and protect we the people. Ladies and gentlemen, it's starting in Texas tonight, but it's not going to end in Texas. As Ted Nugent said tonight, it's time we take Michigan back, and it's time we take state by state back so that we can take our great nation back once again. As Victor, who's running for Congress, has said, and I met Victor at Turning Point, what a great brother. It's Christian people like that, like Ryan Zink, that is standing up and saying, we will lead the charge. But you know what? It's time that we, the people, arise. And if there's any of you in the audience that are not arising, not getting behind, we need to. Why? Because it is we, the people, for the people, by the people, and we will take our nation back. Guys, every system in DC needs to be dismantled. Every three-letter alphabet, the DOE, the DOD, the DOJ, the FBI, the CIA. That's right. We need to do this. Guys, I'm Dr. Sherry O'Donnell, running for United States Senate in Michigan. I want you to go to my website, like it forward, hit that donate button. They're saying $30 to $50 million. It's not cheap. I've laid it all down just as you are calling. This is the clarion alarm. The clarion alarm, it is time. The alarm has been sounded. It is time for every American loving, freedom loving patriot to stand up and take our great nation back now. We don't have time. Dr. Sherry O'Donnell from Michigan, standing with Texas, standing with our great country. DocSherry2024.com. Get me in Senate. Senate is one of 100 votes. I will be your vote come November. Get me elected. DocSherry2024. God bless America. God bless Texas.
God bless this woman. Speaking of which, we got a good friend of mine here. His name is Chris Bird. And while he's on his way here he comes. God bless that woman. And this man right here, provisional attorney for the Convoy, is a good friend of mine. Sometimes we spend hours up in that room. And thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Doc. How is everyone? Wow, it's so great to be right here. I wish y'all could see how beautiful you are. Welcome to Texas, if you're not from here, and if you are, well, howdy. My name is Chris Bird. I am on the board of directors for the Republican Party of Texas. Why does that matter? I'm going to tell you the Republican Party of Texas is more conservative today than it's ever been. Lots of freedom fighters, patriots are on the committee with me, and we are trying to hold our lawmakers accountable when they go against our policies that we pass. And we've got one of the most conservative planks in the country. So I just be thinking about the Republican Party of Texas next time when you hear that. Just know that they're in the trenches fighting with you. By the way, does anybody know why the state of Texas has 31 senators? How many chapters are in the book of Proverbs? Proverbs, you're cheating. 31 chapters in Proverbs, 31 senators in Texas. Why does Texas have 150 members of the House? There's 100, and you keep cheating over there. There's 150 chapters in Psalms. Isn't that great? That's why our Texas legislature is built the way it is. I've been asked to introduce our rep for HD 73, Carrie Isaac. And Carrie and I have known each other for a good long while, and that relationship started back when Jason actually was running for Congress. And I knew Jason probably 10 years ago. So known the family for a very long time. And of course, Carrie Isaac is your House rep right here in Hays County where we sit. A couple of things about Carrie. She wasn't supposed to win. She was not supposed to win. The establishment had the election rigged. They held up her mailers in Hays County. She won by 235 votes, I think it was, and only won one polling location. Only won one polling location in Comal County. All the rest of them, she barely lost, but she kept fighting and fighting it. I've never seen anybody knock more doors. I've never seen anybody just continue to take on whatever the challenges there were. And when she got into the House and took her seat, after the session was over, she was voted Freedom Caucus. I'll just change the name, Patriot of the Freedom Caucus. One of the things, y'all know what diversity, equity, and inclusion means? They do know. They do know. Because of Carrie and the rider that she put in the appropriations bill in higher education, she defunded with that rider DEI. And another thing I wanted to tell you about, you know how many House reps we had that did not buy the bunk that got crammed down their throats to impeach our great Attorney General, Ken Paxton? 23. And I knew something was up when the night before Governor Perry called up Carrie, put just a little bit of pressure on her. That was wrong. That was wrong. That tells you a lot. But she stood her ground. She stood her ground. She voted her conscience. And she is one of the 23 that voted against the impeachment. So I'm very happy to introduce my dear friend, Carrie Isaac. You will not find a stronger patriot. Carrie.
Not our patriots. I want to welcome the Take the Borders Back convoy to Central Texas. I'm so glad you're here. According to our U.S. Constitution, our federal government shall protect states from an invasion. Are we being invaded? We have encountered over 300 terrorists at our southern border. How many terrorists did it take to pull off 9/11? Less than 20. China has killed more than 250,000 Americans here in Texas due to fentanyl poisoning. We must secure our border. We do not have a sovereign nation without a secure border. Amen? I stand with Governor Abbott. I want to encourage him to stand strong against the tyrannical government, the Biden administration that is putting us in danger. Thank you again for spreading the word and bringing attention to this invasion at our border. God bless you, and I pray for peace and safety as you continue your convoy. Thank you again. Build the wall. Build the wall. Build the wall. Build the wall. Build the wall.
Wow, thank you, Carrie. A powerful voice right there. We have another very special guest right here from this area, Canyon Lake. That's close enough, right? Might as well be Dripping Springs. A man who's done quite a bit he's a J6 defendant. If you knew all that he's been doing for the people who've been illegally detained in the Gulag in D.C., the District of Columbia, you would have a lot of respect for him. I have a lot of respect for him. And I believe God has called him to do this. And he's also involved in the child trafficking issues. He's got some personal situations going on there. And I'm just thankful for him, and I want to give him an opportunity to address all y'all. Trentus Evans, he's a father, he's a husband, he's a friend of the community. He's a patriot. He's working to defend and preserve the freedom and liberty now and for future generations. He's a business owner, political activist, public speaker, J6 defendant, political writer, creator of CondemnedUSA.com, and co-founder of A4Justice.org. Please help me welcome Trentus Evans.
I see a lot of fantastic people showed up here today. That's right. Ashley Babbitt was murdered.
Yeah.
You know, God said the meek shall inherit the earth. He didn't say we had to give it to them. This is a nation a lot of people have told you about. A lot of people have reminded you of the blood spilled and the loss and the dedication and all that has been given to preserve freedoms for this generation. We stand here in a moment where people are actually starting to gather again. And cowards suggest that you don't come. Cowards suggest that you ignore your First Amendment right to assemble in these United States. Cowards are not my people. The people that are here are my people. The kind of people that went to January 6th. There's a lot of you here, you just haven't been arrested yet. But I'll be there for you when you are. I don't know if I can help, but I'm going to try. I'm going to tell you a quick story about what's happened to me since January 6th. The fast version, as fast as I can, and Robert's just not going to have to get over his timer. Sorry, Robert. On January 6th, I entered the United States Capitol singing the national anthem. It's on video. And I drank a shot of whiskey, allegedly in Nancy Pelosi's office. I'm not going to apologize because Laura Logan told me to stop doing that a long time ago. It's actually Laura Logan's fault that I refuse to apologize anymore. My intent was to demonstrate peacefully. Kind of like those Hamas people that demonstrated, or anyone else. Yet here I am. I've been to federal prison. I was held where the 9/11 terrorists were held, in a maximum security facility on a misdemeanor. Odd. Don't you think it's a little bit odd that in solitary confinement, thank you for reminding me. I forget the details because I've got other things to worry about, bigger fish to fry. Don't you think it's a little bit odd that the most armed populace on the face of the planet chose to take on the largest military industrial complex to ever exist with plastic flagpoles and megaphones? Just a little bit odd. I think they'd know if we came for an insurrection, wouldn't they? I hope that they don't push it there, because I believe that we have good people here that want to do this peacefully and legally. These are the kind of people that assembled for this event. How many people came here for this event, for peaceful, legal, First Amendment protected assembly, to bring attention to the atrocity at the border where fentanyl is killing our children, your children, destroying this country with illegal voters, to take over your nation? Whose nation? Thank you for clarifying that. The federal government covered up the fact that I captured a federal human trafficking fugitive that escaped from prison. I'm going to say it again. I captured a federal human trafficking fugitive that escaped from prison in August of 2021. And the federal government covered that up. That's odd. Then, the day before sentencing, they finally admitted to possession of this information and said, "Oh, Mr. Evans, but we don't need vigilantes like that." They had the audacity to call me a vigilante for capturing a federal human trafficking fugitive in the state of Texas. Who's a fan of that kind of nonsense? Let me ask you this question. How many of you would bring a federal human trafficking fugitive that escaped from prison to justice? Show of hands? Is that not what America's built on? How many of you would turn in your neighbor because they were standing on the grass praying on January 6th? That's what this administration, this regime wants. That's the kind of people we're dealing with. Something else you need to know. Little something else. Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, is not responsible for any insurrection. They said in the Colorado case, the first one where they tried to remove him from the ballot, they played a video of me on the Capitol steps, fraudulently produced and timestamp edited by the January 6th Select Committee, entered into evidence on June 9th, 2022. That was a fraud. They wanted you to believe that he gave a dog whistle and that I provided that speech on the steps at 2:24 p.m. to which the insurrection began. If that's the case, somebody explain to me why over 130 people are charged with felonies for events that happened before 2:24, and that people were inside the building for over 20 minutes, based on Donald Trump's 2:24 tweet that said Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect this country and our Constitution. Did Mike Pence have the courage to do it? No. Is Mike Pence the kind of man you want running the country? No. Is Donald Trump the kind of man you want running this country? Hell yeah. Can I get it one more time, Donald Trump? How many of you believe in a man that wanted to protect your border? How many of you would believe in a man that wanted to stop child trafficking and told you that there was a corrupt administration running a child trafficking scheme, pedophiles in this government? How many of you are sick of that? I'm going to ask you this. How many people know that 1,300 people now have been arrested for January 6th? 640 adjudicated cases, people sitting in prison, grandma, grandpa. People that came with the strollers and the kids, as the brave Congressman Sparks said. Decorated veterans. 72% of the men and women that sit behind bars, pre-trial detainment, were either law enforcement or veterans. How do you feel about that, sir? Bullshit. That's right. Right, I'd have been better off to have had gay sex on the floor of the House and been a Hamas terrorist. That would be permissible. Those people aren't in trouble. Let me tell you another thing that you don't understand. I have worked tirelessly for 3 years for January 6th defendants. I don't make money from this. I've never been paid a dime for my efforts. And I don't want money. I want freedom. I want a constitutionally correct path for this government. I want what all of you want and deserve, not only for us. I see a lot of faces in this crowd. We're old enough to get through this. We might just kind of skin by. But what about your children? What about your grandchildren? What about the generations in your family tree that you may never know? Can they live under the shade of the ethos of the work that you do here today? Your peaceful, patriotic demonstration shall not be assaulted by this leftist, insane coup that took over your country. How many people in this crowd support the idea that January 6th people like Ryan Zink stand in office? These are better Americans. You're guilty of trespassing. You committed the atrocity of an assault on the building where more crimes are committed than any other building on the face of the planet, where more liberties have been destroyed, where more lives have been cost, the casualties are deep, and the blood runs thick in this nation because of what has happened from the aspects of the interest of the people in that building. The United States Capitol is not a place that represents you. How many people believe this legislature represents them? The United States Congress, do those people represent your interests? Does this judiciary represent your interests? Do you believe there's a belligerent occupant that stole this country at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue? Then what the hell are we doing talking about it? Why are we still putting up with it? We don't have to raise up arms. We have to raise up our faith. We have to raise up our interests. We have to show up and push back. Isn't that the words of Maxine Waters? Aren't those the words of Nancy Pelosi? They called it democracy in action when people stood and they took the House in Michigan and held it for 2 weeks. They called it democracy in action. Nancy Pelosi rushed to the scene. What I'm telling you people is they're going to steal your election again. We all know it's coming. And I ask you to decide if you're going to be the kind of American that slinks away, cries on social media, and whines in the darkness as your country is overtaken. Or are you going to be the kind of American that stands up for justice and peacefully assembles and says, hell no, we won't go? Will you be pushed off of your peaceful and patriotic demonstration to go to come out of Texas and join us there? Are you going to be there? Every American should be there. The sins and atrocities happening in this country are a putrid rot. And everyone that fails to show up to dissent peacefully against that kind of an action, against what's happening in our country, uplifting men like Robert A.G., a dear friend of mine. This is a humble servant of the Lord, and I'm going to tell you what, I hope to be as good a man as Robert A.G. one day. It probably won't happen. Yes, Laura Logan, thank you so much. You're right. I ask you to please, my son is over there at my booth. You'll see some flyers over there. They have pictures of my 13-year-old son who was put at gunpoint with little red dots on him. Go see it for yourself. When he was trying to go to school, when the Joint Terrorism Task Force raided my home for being present inside the Capitol saying, do not harm the police, do not damage the building, this is a peaceful protest. Over and over, repetitively, ad nauseum. I drove 1,400 miles across the country to yell, stop the steal. 3 times, November, December, January. And then I abandoned that when I heard some people saying things that I didn't support. And I spoke out for the Capitol Police. And I spoke out for peace and people to have better senses. And yet they came for me and they did what they did to my family by arresting me with the Joint Terrorism Task Force after speaking to me. We begged. I said, I'll turn myself in, bring all my stuff, bring the video. We have all the peaceful evidence that I was there. They didn't want that. They wanted a headline. They wanted a shit show on somebody's property. They're looking for someone to get froggy. It happened right down here in Hays County to a dear friend of mine. They brought over 100 agents, helicopters, planes, rammed through his gates. Some of you know that story. There are brave and patriotic people in this country. I look forward to knowing more of them. I've met a hell of a lot of them through January 6th. And I met a lot of them through a man like Robert Agee. I ask that you please support the efforts of Condemned USA. We've spent almost $200,000 personally. I'm not a wealthy man. I don't get paid. I do this every day and every night. And there's countless people like Laura Logan and Robert Agee that will tell you that this happens. I have cases in front of the Supreme Court now. I'm not a lawyer. How's that happen? I'm testifying for certain people that we all know and love. I ask you that if you support peace, unity, the Constitution and Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and the kind of ideology that formed this nation, a nation of God-fearing individuals that wanted something better. If you're not going to slink away from that, and you're willing to make a choice in this time, it may be costly. The chains may be heavy, but do you want them for yourself? Will you wear the chains, or you want to pass them on to your children? Wear the chains with me. Step forward, stand up. Give it to the January 6th people. Help me help them. We're working for you. We're working for America. God bless you, and thank you for having me here to speak tonight.
Love that man right there. You know, I thought he was a Fed the first time I saw him. Seriously, I was down in San Antonio at the Reawaken America Tour conference. This guy came up to my booth. He started talking about J6, and I was like, babe, I don't trust this guy. I think he's a Fed. And at the very end, you know, the Lord put on my heart that I needed to mention something when I got up there during my speaking spot. And I never got caught up on day two. I was like, I was so concerned. I wasn't concerned about getting up there and speaking. I was concerned that I wasn't going to mention this man Trennis that I met. Now that I was sitting there, next thing I know, there's Trennis up on the platform speaking, the very last speaker out there at the Reawaken conference. And the Lord said, I took care of it. Like, oh, well, very good. And then he said, now I want you to go up there and pray for him. I'm like, what? You want me to go do what? And ever since then, after my wife and I prayed for him, wife anointed him with oil. It's been such an incredible journey to watch what he's done and how the Lord has used him to fight for our J6ers and the incredible opportunities that he's had. So we're just so thankful for Trennis. Hey, I want to remind everybody, this is not just Texas that's happening on February 3rd. We have another rally that's happening in San Ysidro, California on Saturday, February 3rd. There's another one happening in Yuma, Arizona on the same day. There's 3 simultaneous rallies taking place. And if you go to takeourborderback.com, there's more information there. There's locations. There's X accounts for each one of them, Telegram accounts, so you can follow along. And we're going to be simulcasting this event out of Texas. We'll be pulling in. So San Ysidro is going to have their event in the morning. And then they're going to get in their cars and they're going to convoy over to Yuma, Arizona to join up with them and have one large rally that day. And we're going to have a feed going. We're going to be showing Yuma, Arizona and K-Motto. I got to keep correcting myself. I keep wanting to call it Q-Motto. That's what you're doing, Texas Q-Motto. At the same time. So you'll be seeing the speakers in both areas and presenting and the atmosphere in both locations throughout the day. So make sure you tune in for that live feed. We have another special guest with us here today. She was actually on the People's Convoy. I remember seeing her feed. Half the feed I think I was watching was right out of her car. She doesn't need much of an introduction. Everybody knows Ann Vandersteel, right? She's doing an incredible job down at the border right now, standing in the gap where our politicians aren't doing, exposing the corruption, exposing the child trafficking, the drug trafficking, and all the other issues that are going on. So we're thankful that Ann Vandersteel is here with us today. And she has some words. Please, Ann.
All right, everybody. I don't know about you, but I'm fired up.
It is we the people. Let's go. All right, it's we the people. That's what our founding fathers' documents put out there. It was never about them, the bureaucrats, them, the World Economic Forum, the scumbags, the District of Criminals and Corruption, that dumpster fire known as 10 square miles of Washington Swamp, D.C. It is not about them. When Nancy Pelosi says we are a threat to her democracy.
Sorry, a little bit of a freezing here on the feed, but it'll come back. Hang tight. It'll come back.
See, guess what, folks? She ain't lying. They are a legislative democracy, and we are what? We're a constitutional republic. We are standing on our Constitution right now, and we are taking it all back. As Pete Santilli says, we have 14 days to flatten the deep state. Forget the curve. We're going to flatten the deep state. Now, listen, I have done a lot of reporting, and yes, I was on the People's Convoy, and it was a blessing, and I have a very special guest I'm going to bring up here in a second. But I've reported about all the problems now for 8 years, and I'm over the problems. Who is sick of the crap coming out of D.C.? Who is sick of the crap coming out of your own state governments, your own municipal governments? Are they paying attention to you guys, the people? No. They're not listening to any of us.
Again, sorry for the freezing. It'll come back. It's coming back. Bear with me.
But we're going to make them listen. And we're going to show you how, because I'm all about solutions now. I am so done. I don't even read the papers anymore. I look at the headlines and go, oh, the hell, nothing changes. We are the change agents. Let's be the change agents. They want to label us domestic terrorists, as they did me, put me on the domestic terror list. I got to second base of the TSA 6 times a week. Screw that. I didn't even get kissed when they're feeling me up. I'm over it. So here's the deal. We're going to take it all back. And we're talking about tactical civics. We're talking about teaching the people what their real duty is, how they can stand up a grand jury, how they can actually stand up a true Second